Increasingly through the Industrial Revolution, you see a huge scale transfer of the economic wealth from the hands of the landed gentry to these middle-class, factory-owning men and their families. The middle class has become incredibly powerful.
The challenge of having these innovations that come along with energy is it disrupts the workforce. New jobs are created, factory jobs, for example, textile workers. And that meant a loss of other jobs where people weren't making textiles by hand anymore. They would go to a factory and make it with machines.
On one hand, the old structures in which the peasants were perhaps better looked after, in which the whole family made the wool together and the old people and the children were employed, those have all gone.
People who were angry about the rise of machines started to fight back. They started to attack the factories or attack machines and set them on fire. The word sabotage comes from the French word sabot, or boot, throwing boots into machines to ruin the machine. This wave of resentment became later known as the Luddites, people who are suspicious of modern technological advances. In particular, with modern lighting, we could move indoors. We could also move our jobs indoors. We could start to move to shift work, 24-hour work days at a factory where you have 3 8-hour shifts right in a row.
There's no way that you can say that working in a mill was less dangerous than working on the farm for making cloth. Machines are very close together. They have moving wheels and pulleys and gears and parts that are banging back and forth.
Textile machines were never turned off because to turn them off would lead to a loss of profit. Children were sent under the looms while they were operating, causing many children to lose their limbs.
More people are actually going to have other problems, such as losing their hearing or getting dust and lint into their lungs and getting lung problems or diseases.
If you go back far in time, everyone did manual labor, men and women alike. Over time, men did more of the manual labor and women did more of the factory labor because the nimbleness and dexterity of the smaller fingers were desirable. Same is true for children. And so you see women and children working in factories, and the conditions weren't safe, and they also were less empowered to protest. You would have children work in these factories, and they wouldn't have things like a fire exit. So if there was a fire in the factory, 100 kids might die. There's a famous fire in New York, the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, where a lot of people died because they couldn't get out of the factory.
Although, on one hand, there are a lot of jobs created, these jobs are insecure, they're brutal, and you really have to bring in laws.
An industrial reformer named Richard Osler campaigned for the end of child labor in factories. Motivated by his Christian faith, he made a case that children deserved rights and should be protected. Just as activist William Wilberforce before him advocated an end to the slave trade, Osler sparked a movement against child labor, leading to worker reforms. Eventually, childhood came to be viewed as a time for education, not work.